So in watching eating lunch with you multiple times, I've seen you crack open, different Tupperware containers filled with, extraneous odd things in there. But in a sense, people want to lose weight. They don't want to go to the level you and I have gone to mostly. So if someone comes to you and they're an average person, they're not, the crazies we are, what would you say to them as far as diet? How do you approach and how would you simplify your approach to someone who says, hey, I got to take off 20 pounds. My cholesterol's through the roof. I'm just tired all the time. I know it's this extra weight. Tell me, Dr. Nick, make it simple. How would you summarize? I want to take some weight off. What should I do?
Yeah, so you're right. I pretty much probably would eat anything that's going to make me a little bit stronger, better than the next person, or healthier. It's one of the funniest things that we used to say when I started working out, and we'd always work out in these Arnold voices and pumping each other up, and we'd always joke around and say, what Arnold says, right? He goes, yeah. If it don't taste good, then it's good for you. And so that still stands true with us today, I think. But for the average person, you can take it. Nutrition's funny because I fought this for a long time, and nutrition's probably one of the most important things for any athlete or just person in their well-being. But there's crazy levels that you can go to with that. So I fought the whole counting your macros and weighing your food out for a long time because I was like, that's a lot of work. I don't want to do that. And there's a lot of people who don't, and that's fine. So if somebody wants to if they would want to clean up their diet, the biggest thing that I try to tell people is to make sure you're at least eating enough, because under eating runs rampant. And there's a lot of misconceptions out there with, if I want to lose weight, I just need to stop eating. I'm going to drink celery juice and eat carrots all day long. And people end up gaining weight, or maybe they lose weight and they lose a lot of weight very quickly, but then they're not able to maintain that because it's not a sustainable diet. So the biggest thing that I try to get people to do is write down what they're eating through the day, keep a food journal for a couple days to give me an idea of how much they're eating, how much they're actually consuming, and make sure that they're not under eating. The other thing is whole foods. I mean, the biggest thing that I'll tell somebody is shop and we've all heard this one, shop the outside of the grocery store. So when you're in the grocery store, there's a lot of crap in the middle of the store, and you go through the aisles, and that's where you're getting a lot of your processed sugary foods. You stay on the outside of the grocery store, and then that's where you're finding a lot of your produce, your meats, your dairies, your eggs, your things like that. In some stores, it's your beers. Stay away from that part of the outside of the store.
That's right. That maybe the dairy products too. For me, at least, I try to steer people from that. But everything else that's refrigerated, I always remind people if the bacteria want to eat it's probably pretty good, right? I mean, you go into a dumpster, that's good food that has obviously gone bad at this point for our consumption, only because other bacteria have grown out to that degree. But refrigeration is obviously trying to slow that down. And, if it digests that easy for them, it digests easy for us.
Right. So the biggest thing is whole foods and unprocessed stuff. So if it comes out of a box, generally I tell people not to eat it, and the other thing is drinking water, hydration. So nutrition and hydration go hand in hand with each other. So, those are the two big things that I always tell people. Well, three things, I guess. So you make sure they're actually eating enough within reason. Obviously, they don't want to overeat, but and it's as if they don't want to weigh out their food. So that's another big step. So that's personally how I got into where I am now, is weighing out and counting my macronutrients. Is I thought I was eating enough, and then I found out I wasn't. So, but counting isn't for everybody. So the biggest thing is make sure you're eating enough, and then quality whole foods. So basically trying to cook all your meals instead of getting them out of a box or anything like that.
No, I think that's great advice. I mean, to me, I've probably read thousands of books on diet, and one of the things that I really liked, that was paleo diet makes sense to me, and the macrobiotic diet made sense to me, because you're eating foods that have been around a long time, that are meant for us to consume, and in very simple, non-processed forms. And people don't realize the chemistry in processed food is designed to get you to eat more have your taste buds literally swell up and super taste things. So they taste so good, you just can't stop putting things in your mouth. Many people have eaten Pringles and eaten 4 canisters of them, and they're laying on the floor burping and feeling really pretty bad. But it's hard to do that with apples, right? You eat an apple, you might want a second one, maybe a third apple, and then you have this sort of like, wow, that's enough. But you don't end up in pain. You don't end up with a funny taste in your mouth. You don't end up with digestive disturbances of any magnitude, you know. But yeah, I think the whole food idea, sometimes that term maybe is lost on people. They think it's a store, which obviously it is. But you know, that I think that's the simplest way to eat, because you get to be full. People starving themselves, like you said, people aren't eating enough food often. And I tell people, a good diet, you shouldn't feel hungry. You're not going to stuff yourself, but if you're feeling hungry all the time, you're hungry. I mean, and that's that. And if you're working out, how are you going to build muscle and oxygenate and rebuild that body and have the energy to work out? You got to have some fuel in the fire. Absolutely.